Sarah and Bailey, welcome to the Retail Her podcast.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
We're so excited. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Bailey.
I am super excited to have you guys here. So how this interview came to be was, I don't know who sent me your article, the article about me article on you, Bailey. And they asked, what is your favorite podcast? And you mentioned mine. And I was like, oh my God, that is the nicest thing I've ever heard. Like, I honestly was thinking out about that. Like I sent it to my assistant. I'm like, we have to use this in social media. And then Christy introduced us, who I absolutely adore, who is your rep from Kina and from some other lines. I'm sure that you purchased from her, and she brought us all together. So thank you guys for being here.
Oh my gosh. No, we're so excited. We were just saying we're fangirling because your podcast.
Yeah, we love the podcast. And then Bailey originally started listening to it. And so then I started listening to it. So we get so much great information from you.
So that makes me that's really, it's become such a joy for me. And it's like, it was really I never expected it to be what it is now. And I love more than anything hearing people say, oh, we're learning so much from your guests and, things that you do. And it is such a joy to share this with everyone, because I love what people are getting out of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great.
Of course. We love it.
So I'm going to have you guys each individually introduce yourselves and give us a little background. We're going to start with Sarah. And by the way, just so everyone knows, this is a mother-daughter team. So Mom, we're going to start with you.
Yeah. Okay. So my background, really, I've always had jobs that were service oriented. So, waitressing, bartending. My husband and I got married, and we moved to New Mexico and took over a family business, which was liquor stores, small bars, and nightclubs.
Wow.
That's kind of what we did for, I would say, 7 or 8 years. So we had the opportunity to move back to California, and we both wanted to take that opportunity. I grew up in San Luis Obispo, which is where our store is located. And so when we moved back, I really thought I was going to kind of go into the wine industry. My background was buying for those liquor stores, and I really got into the whole wine aspect of it. So moving back to the Central Coast, I really thought that's what I was going to be doing. But this job opportunity came up to manage a store in downtown San Luis Obispo. And I went and I interviewed and I fell in love. And I initially did not get hired, and I was absolutely crushed. But then they reached out to me about 4 weeks later saying they made a mistake, and would I please consider coming back? And I did. And so that's how my life started at Hands Gallery.
Before that, I have to jump back to the fact that you were managing. Okay, one, I will say, I think people that have service industry backgrounds make the best customer service, not just people, but experiences for anyone going to your store. It's like I was a waitress, I was a hostess, and I was a bartender. And I still lean on some of those things, as well as some of the lessons that I learned during that time of servicing people, because it's such an intimate thing. Like, you're talking one-on-one with something, they're on a date or they're, in a meeting or whatever, and it's just you and the table. And, obviously when something goes wrong, that's where you learn the customer service. Like, how did you go? Did you do any kind of management before like that, where you're managing? Because that's restaurants and nightclubs, that's very different, and liquor stores.
Yeah. No. So yeah, when his family had this kind of chain of businesses in New Mexico. So right when we got married, we moved to New Mexico knowing that we were going to be taking over these businesses, becoming part of the family business. And so my husband also has had restaurant experience his entire life. So he kind of took on the nightclub bar aspect, and I really went into the retail end of it in the stores, in the liquor stores.
Where in New Mexico?
Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay. Do you miss that at all?
I do not. I do not. It was, hey, learning from especially my mother-in-law, learning from her how to buy, how to, different, mathematical equations to use as far as and watching your money and your, all of the things that go into business. I learned from her, and she was amazing. My father-in-law as well. But she really kind of took me under her wing. She'd been doing it for a long time. And so I learned kind of your just super traditional business practices through them. But I was able to apply it to retail.
No doubt. I bet.
In retail, there's just not as much markup in liquor.
Yeah.
It's really the difference.
What an amazing background, though. That's incredible. Okay, Bailey.
I feel like I just learned so much.
Oh,
I'm hearing her say that. Yes, I'm Bailey. I'm the daughter in the duo. I guess my career in retail started when I graduated high school. I was a competitive dancer in high school, so I didn't work while I was in high school. But as soon as I graduated, I started working for mom. Mom had just bought the business, actually. So she bought Hands in 2016, and that's the year I graduated. And I was actually a pre-nursing student. I was going to the JC here, and I was in my pre-nursing classes, and I was working at Hands, and I was just a sales clerk and employee. I took up the Instagram end of things. I've always really loved that creative outlet. And I started doing a lot of art photography and things like that. But I was really just working in the store, I would say, a few days a week while I was going to school. And then it came time, I was probably around 20, and I decided I was ready to move out. And it's, expensive to live anywhere, but especially here in San Luis. So my parents were like, you can totally move out, but you'll be on your own as far as rent and bills and everything. So I needed another job, probably something with tips. And so I went into the restaurant industry. I started, I was in one restaurant the entire time. It's a local restaurant. It's really well known here. And so I started as a hostess, and I actually met my husband at the time. He was a busser, and we worked together. I mean, it was one of the most amazing times. I mean, all my best friends, you're kind of in the trenches, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I worked my way up through that restaurant to be a server. And then I was waiting tables, and I would say it was about 2 years. It's almost exactly 2 years ago that mom called me, and I was still working at Hands a few days a week. And mom called me, and she was kind of more in crisis mode.
I wasn't thinking you would want the job.
Yeah. And mom called me, and she was my manager at the time decided to go corporate. And so she was leaving, and mom was like, we don't have a manager. And I immediately was like, I want it. And I knew that I would be leaving the restaurant and working for mom. And ever since then, it's been the two of us.
Yep.
It's been so fun.
Okay. What was the restaurant, and what did they serve?
It was called Giuseppe's, and it was Italian food.
Okay. I was at Gino's East serving pizza. And this is the lesson I learned. And no one's heard this story. And there's an F-bomb in it. Everyone knows I drop F-bombs. But when I was younger, I'm sure a lot of younger people do, when you get told, you need to do this. I know seems to be, for some reason, this trigger answer where it's you'll get off my back if I just say I know. And I guess I said it so many times that the last time he asked me about, I think I was supposed to be marrying ketchup or something like that in bottles, and I didn't do it or whatever. And he asked me again. I'm like, I know. And he turned around and he goes, if you fucking know, then why do you fucking keep doing it? And I was like, wow. And I literally, that was the last time I said, I know, as that knee-jerk reaction of trying to get someone to I get it.
Totally, yeah.
No, totally. I don't think I would have been ready at all for this job, managing, a staff and doing all the responsibilities that I have, unless I worked in that restaurant. That restaurant taught me everything I needed to know about what real hard work was. So
multitasking, and you had kind of touched on it as far as you're still your friends in the trenches. I always say this, that I feel like working in a restaurant, the people I worked with, I still am friends with. I feel like that was more of a family than a lot of I still have friends in anthropology that I adore, because I think I was 27 when I was there. But from my younger years, from working in restaurants, there's still people I stay in contact with that I still consider the closest friends. It's because it does feel like family.
Yeah, totally.
Same for me. I mean, it's been a long time for me. My 20s were a few years ago, and some of my best friends still to this. We even have reunions the restaurant we worked at. So it's just, I always say, I really feel like every human being should be required to work in the service industry.
100%. I think, like I said, I think my best lessons, but honestly, like it teaches you to multitask. It teaches you how to deal with horrible customer situations, and it teaches you how to be graceful in situations where you may not be feeling very graceful.
Oh, absolutely.
My mom met my dad at working at the restaurant that they worked at. They lived in LA. That's where
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I love this. So now both of you have restaurant backgrounds. You both have met your spouses at restaurants. And now, so when you took over, when you started working in the store back in, what year was that? It was 2 decades ago. So it was.
Yeah, it would have been, let's see, it was, I don't do math in my
probably
head,
like 2004.
but it was about 22, 23 years ago.
So when you started as a manager, what was the store first? Let me back up. What is how would you describe your store now to listeners?
Okay. We are a contemporary craft gallery / high-end gift shop is kind of how it's hard to pinpoint exactly what we are. The gallery was started featuring only handmade items in the US.
Love that.
And so it was started by 2 couples. One couple had just relocated here from Los Angeles. The other couple was already here. One couple had architecture and design background, and the other couple had artistic background. And so when the LA couple with the artistic background moved here, they really felt like there was something lacking as far as the art scene. So they decided to open this store with the other couple, featuring handmade items in the US. And when 2008 hit, they decided that they kind of had to change the shop a bit. Bringing in items that weren't necessarily handmade in the US. Even the majority of our candle lines and things like that, we tried to have handmade in the US, but it really became, they kind of had to expand on their contemporary crafts. And I say contemporary crafts because we're not a gallery where it's 2-dimension paintings on the wall. We do have 2 artists that do that, but the majority are 3-dimensional handmade crafts, ceramics, glass, jewelry, candles, the gift items, but gift items with a purpose, I think is how we kind of clarify it, how we explain it.
Yeah. There's something for everyone in there.
Yeah.
So when you took over, when you came in as a manager,
they sold. Couple sold. And so when that couple sold, it was just left to one couple, and they just needed a manager type person to come help them.
So you came in and did operations, and they still remain. And you purchased the store in 2016. So you were there as a manager for quite a bit of time.
Yes. So people identified me with the store already.
I bet.
I bought, they definitely taught me how to purchase, and I learned things from them, just like I had learned from my in-laws. But yeah, I was really the focal person at the store. So when I bought it, we all really tried to make an effort to not really let anyone know much had changed. There was a big announcement, new ownership, new this, because people associated me in that role kind of already.
That's great.
Yeah.
How different is your inventory selection and whatnot, and how the stores run compared to when you came in as a manager?
We still have artists that we've represented for over 30 years.
Wow.
But at the same time, I think Bailey brings a really fresh eye. She's younger. Our demographic of our store, I would say, is probably 50.
I think even a little, I would say like 35 to 40, and then all the way up to like 75 is like really, and really like the main concentration of that being like 50 to 75. We have an older demographic.
It's an older demographic for a college town. But Bailey has brought, it's great to have a buyer that's a different age and a different, just different. It's fresh for her.
Yeah.
And so it's changed a bit, but definitely not drastically at all.
So your manager, when she gave her notice and you were like, I need a manager, did you already have, I'm guessing you already had a job description out for Bailey and Bailey, then kind of, I'm thinking, tweaked it a little bit to what worked with Instagram and whatnot?
Yeah. So really I took on everything she did. It's just that I was already doing, and I was in the store already for, at that point, I don't even know how many years, probably like 5. I've been there for almost 9 now. So probably like 7 years I had been there, and I had worked under her. And it's so funny. Like, you have no idea. Not that I didn't think she worked hard. She was an amazing manager, but you just don't know. When you work and you see it, like, you don't have any idea how much multitasking goes into it, obviously, like running a staff, buying product, checking product in. For me, like the social media aspect and marketing emails and managing a website and how to code a website. And like the list goes on and on and on. Really, the only thing that I do in addition to what she was doing is that like marketing, social media aspect. And I was already doing that. But yeah, small business owners, we joke, we wear like 17 different hats.
Oh, yes.
And we're super small. Like, it's us and then a sales staff. So we're very, very small.
So what's the square footage of the store?
I would say the square footage of the store is under
200, 2,000?
2,000, sorry. 2,000.
Okay. That's a sizable store.
A sizable store, yeah.
And how big is your team?
There are the 2 of us. And then we have an additional 4 to 5 person rotating sales staff. That's
pretty good sized staff.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys are both working partners, because I think sometimes there are, there's stores that have multiple stores and the owner's not always there. And I think that it makes such a difference when the owners are, at Fred Segal, we were all mandated to be working owners. Like, we had to be there 6 days a week from open to close. There was no exceptions as far as Fred Segal was concerned. Like, you are a working owner. And I think that is what made such strong businesses within the Fred Segal complex, is working owners.
Totally. Mom always says, she's like, people can buy stuff anywhere. They can go on Amazon, they can go to Target, they can go to anywhere. But they shop with us because they want to support us and they know us. And we have that relationship with so many of them because we are in a really small town. Where we are is like, we have people that come in just to say hi.
Yeah, we're definitely a tourist town for sure. So a number of our customers are tourists. A lot of them they come multiple times a year. But we really rely on our locals. Our locals have been so supportive to us. And a lot of times we get people that come in the store and they're like, almost like they have to apologize. They're like, I just looking today, but I just need like an uplifting experience. So we try to create an experience where people walk in and it's uplifting and the messages are all positive and it makes people feel good. And we know we succeed when we hear comments like that. Like, nothing makes me happier. Don't buy anything. I just come in and feel happy.
Yeah. I love that. So give everybody a description on how you guys have, I know we've heard Bailey's job description, but how do you guys split responsibilities?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I think a lot of it was stuff that just I already did. So I kept to that. So we have multiple lines that we deal with in our store. And so I think I kept the ones that were mine and she kept the ones that she took over, the ones that were the previous managers. That's evolved slightly as if she's super interested in a certain, we kind of separate our store by sections. There's a wood section, there's a jewelry section, there's a candle, candle category, all the different categories that go into it. And if someone feels really strongly about a line or a category, then it becomes theirs, and that's kind of how we do that. I've always kind of done the scheduling, dealt with the staff. Mostly we're trying to get them used to dealing with Bailey, trying to get me out of that role. But we have a great staff. I feel like we're a really easy place to work. We're good to our staff And so we don't really have the staffing problems that you hear about a lot, where people aren't showing up for shifts and people aren't, we're very fortunate when it comes to that. So that's not as big of an issue. I also deal with all of the at home, getting all the payables and everything ready for my husband, who is our bookkeeper, basically. So
the husband's in the job too.
And my little sister, I have a little sister, and she works at the store a few days.
I love that. So, obviously the community comes down and like you all are there. And Sara, you are very involved in the community. It sounds like both of you are, but I've said this in the past that I feel like, I never realized it. I never was involved with any type of community efforts or city council, or I don't even know if anybody at Fred Siegel was, to be honest. But I listen to so many people now and how involved they are with the city council. And you guys, tell everyone a little bit about how you guys work together on, is it getting the parking costs down, which for, you guys are in San Luis Obispo. So it is a very, high season, I'm guessing, is about to start here soon. And high season will take you through, I'm assuming, September, maybe October, because it's still warm there. So from being from Manhattan Beach, I know the parking rates are not inexpensive.
Yeah. So basically our town decided that they were going to have to build a new parking structure to be able to keep up with all of the parking needs. And they decided this like over 20 years ago. So they still haven't built it. Wow. So 20 years later, of course, it becomes, you can imagine how much more expensive it had gotten. The project had gotten out of control expensive. So just a slight little background, our parking in San Luis Obispo is what's called an enterprise fund, which means parking has to pay for parking. So when the structure, it came time like, okay, we need to build the structure now. It's going to be $40 million. They raised the parking rates in our town overnight, and it doubled.
So what was standard? Is it on meters? I'm assuming meters.
Well, the prime parking is street metered parking. We do have parking garages already, but that doesn't seem to be everyone's number one choice. They always want to park in front of the store they want to run into, or in front of the coffee shop they want to run into. So yes, that I would say went from about $2. I've kind of put it out of my mind, to be honest. But I'm scarred. But it went from like $2 an hour to almost $5 overnight.
Like literally overnight.
Like overnight.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that's like LA prices.
I had customers from LA going, why is your parking so expensive? And not only that, but the software that they bought to use for the meters for all of this new stuff, it didn't work. I have a kiosk, unfortunately, right outside my store. So every single day, it was multiple times a day trying to help people park, because you want them to shop. Yeah. They would get frustrated, drive away. Anyway, parking was a thing in our town for a year. And we finally, nothing was getting done with us, each individual going to city council or the mayor or whoever. So we all formed together. And we wrote a letter, and that's when they started to listen. And
wow.
It took a year, but we did get the parking to be cut basically in half.
Because locals were so upset they were coming downtown.
Yeah.
So we literally, our business, really suffered. And everyone we have to do something about this.
I think there's a lot of issues that are in small towns where the locals stop shopping because I know one thing or one reason or another. And it's, I know that there's power in numbers and having a voice in the community. And one of my clients, Masane, which is in Morgan Hill, they had some stores that went out of business. The city committee decided, let's have a street, like a farmer's market thing out on Main Street. We'll close the streets. People will come down. Well, their mistake was they brought down also vendors that sold a lot of the same things the stores sold. So it backfired, and the stores all got together and have had a voice, and things have started to kind of change now. But I think that that's a really good lesson that people, again, that aren't involved in the community, I think it's a really good lesson, because there are issues of something like that there's a power in numbers of having a voice within your community as retailers.
100%. And like forming together with those other small, because our town is mostly small businesses. We're very fortunate. Our downtown is a lot of mom and pop, locally owned. We don't have very many like big brand stores. It was a huge deal even back when I graduated high school that we got a Target in town. So we are like locally owned through and through, which is amazing, and a lot actually too owned by women. Most of the stores downtown are local owners and by women. And when you come all together, like we really still root for each other. We kept that same meeting with those businesses that we met with. Like it just, we all uplift each other. And I think, it's really important to not let competition, we would have lost out on that if we weren't all willing to come and work together. And we really do all support each other so much. We want the best for all of our fellow businesses down there. So.
I'm sitting here trying to remember, isn't Wish down in SLO?
Is that
Wish?
Wish?
Is that a store?
No.
Wish is a store, or is it Botanic and Lux? Botanic and Lux.
No.
I don't know. Why did I think this is SLO? I'm having a senior moment right now, but
That's okay. And we do have some chains, and I think that's important too to bring to a downtown. We have Anthropology. We have Williams Sonoma, Lululemon. There are some chains, and I think that's an important aspect too. I do think they do bring people
100%
downtown. So.
I think it's a good balance, but I do love that it's majority of it is privately owned boutiques, because I mean, if you got excited about Target, Bailey, and you've got specialty stores. I've moved from Redondo Beach to Medford, Oregon, which is very like rural. Like there's a farm behind me, and I have 3 choices. There's a couple specialty stores, but I haven't really found them yet. But it's not like I have blocks like, let's go to lunch downtown and we can go shop. I have Walmart, Target, and something called Fred Meyer, which I've never had in the West Coast or down the South Bay and Redondo. Those are my shopping. So I'm dying for small specialty. Like I even said to my girlfriend, like, I just miss like retail therapy, and not retail therapy of Target and that. Like I miss going into a store where people help you and you walk around and there's different lines that I don't see at Targets and whatnot. So it's like, sounds like a dream where you guys are.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's very much a town where people do come down and have lunch and, and go shopping afterwards. And that's very much the feel of our town for sure.
Very walkable.
Yeah.
There's, we're surrounded by hills. There's lots of hikes. For people that don't know, we're like 10 minutes away from the beach. Like it's a dream where we are. We absolutely love our area for sure.
And we drove last time to Vegas, and I think we were driving down the coast, and I'm like, I wish we could stop, because that was one of those. I still haven't been there. I've been born and raised in California, but still haven't been there. And it's like, no, we're on schedule. We're not stopping.
You have to come. Oh my God. I would love for you to visit.
You have to come. Yeah.
We will for sure. Like I because this is a 2 time of year thing now. So tell everyone a little bit about departmentally how the store is set up. You said you've got it set up in different sections, but give everyone a little background on, because to me, like having handmade products and trying to cross merchandise them and tell a story with things that are not handmade, it's like it's somewhat tricky, but I think it becomes more about like aesthetically merchandising. Like talk a little to everyone about how the store flows and how do you approach merchandising, Bailey, since you seem to be the diva of the merchandising.
Yes. Mom and I for sure will, set up a plan, and Mom has a lot of visions and all those things. But yeah, I typically will execute them. So I would say you walk into our store, and we obviously have our big front window display, and we have a pretty sizable window. And then that can be featured. We usually feature a different local artist or different artist in general, and that switches out once a month. And then the store, one of the couples that previously owned the store, he was an architect. And so he really was able to build the store out really nicely for display. So we have niches kind of in between what I would call our like sections. So you walk in and there's a niche right away, and we have Alan Designs clocks, which for people that don't know are like fun whimsy clocks that will be like a wiener dog clock or like an elephant clock. Mm-hmm. And then you go past there, and people do call us like the clock store. We've heard people
And we've tried to move them from the front of the store, and that does not go over well. And that's an interesting story too, because that is an item that started off many, many years ago. She was hand making them all.
Wow.
And it switched to now she does not hand make them all. So that's a choice. That becomes a choice for us. Do we continue or do we not? And so like there are exceptions to our handmade in the US rule. And that's one of them. Like I said, she started off handmade and then she got really big and now they're all, manufactured in another country. So, but we decided to stick with them.
And I mentioned those because those are like the quintessential hands item. Like everyone knows us by those clocks. You'll walk in then and we have a pretty sizable jewelry section. I think I counted the other day and we have like 32 different jewelry cases. So that's built in along the wall.
Wow.
And also on the floor. So like throughout the floor. So we'll have like tables. We have 3 different tables, all with different jewelry little sections. And each different case is a different artist. So we have a lot of jewelers. A lot of those are local. And then as you walk through the store, like we do have what we call like a masculine or men's section. They do get a little piece because I would say typically, we are more women or feminine leaning. And so that's going to be like gentlemen's hardware. But we do have even a local artist and he makes things out of car parts. So like, kind of telling the story that way. And then we have a big picnic table that's in the center of the store that actually came to be because a local artist was a woodworker at one point. So he made the table. It had a price tag on it even after like however many years. And we were like, we just need to buy this table. Yeah. Like we can't, if someone comes in and buys this table, like it's not good for us. Yeah. Like that's like part of the store. And then as you walk through, it's just different artists. We have local ceramicists. We carry Valespa, as I'm sure many of your listeners do too. So I really tend to lean on like concept or color. For instance, we have like, I call it the charcuterie section.
I saw that. It's so cute. And those candles, I die. Like tell everyone, because I did not do the show this time. I stopped in to say hi to my friends at Fine Lines, but tell everyone that's on that table was so well done.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that means so much coming from you. Yes, so Patty Wax did a line of bistro candles that are so cute. And, Patty Wax, their whole thing is that their vessels are recyclable. So some of the line is in like little, what you would call like olive oil pourers. You could use it for really anything. And it's all like food concepts. So there's like a little baguette on it or a little olive, tomato.
Tomato smells to die.
Right. Yes. And so those come with like little sardine cans as well in the same sense. And we kind of merchandise that table like it's European. It's a little more minimalistic than we would typically go. But I really wanted to I was inspired by like European dining. So we did like little wine books and like little cookbooks that we had to tie in. We have a huge bookshelf in the back of the store, and we do a lot of books from Stephen Young. And so we, whenever I need something in a section, I pull books all the time. I cross merchandise books like crazy.
Good girl. There was something else that was on that table that geometry.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. We love geometry and our customers love geometry.
That line I love, and it sells insanely well. That is the one line I have more questions on how to merchandise it because of that belly band they have around it. Like that, even Serendipity, who I work for, she sells a lot of them, and I get challenged with them because you have to lay them out flat really to be able to see the pattern. And if it takes up too much space for her store. So I'm like folding them, but that damn belly band. So I'll open one just so because everyone wants to open it and see the same things. But you did that's why I said that table was really well done. You could see the geometry, you could see the candles, like well done.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. And so we rotate that center table out seasonally too. I would say like I don't know, I'm probably redoing that once every like month or so. I try to keep things really fresh, obviously, but I would say the majority of like where our customers know they can find things, like obviously in those jewelry cases, they can always go find jewelry in the jewelry cases. They can usually always go find something that has to do with charcuterie in our wood section. They can always find, you know, something for the man in their life in the men's section. And then we do have a back altar is kind of how it's built out. And that's going to be glass, handmade glass. So even though I try to keep things familiar to them, concepts shift, if that makes sense.
So you'll basically pull elements out of the store and create your tabletops in the middle. That's where your cross merchandising comes from.
Yes, exactly.
With anything, again, like you guys, it sounds like you've had a lot of the artists for, you said almost 30 years. Do you have the expectation, or do your customers have the expectation that there's always going, much like regular gift, but there's going to be new artists coming in? And do you have challenges finding new artists? Like,
we're very fortunate. People come to us typically.
Yeah.
I would say that things go through different waves in popularity, though. Like for a long time, we had a really hard time finding local ceramicists. And now all of a sudden we have like 4. So it's just, I would say that moves in waves.
Yeah, it does move in waves. And to the certain artists that we've had for so many years, you have your people that come in and want to see that artist still. And then you have people that, you know, and in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I can't, that dining room table we had up front for 20 years, like it's time to move on. So, it wasn't always the same dining room table, but there's a company called Sticks. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's all handmade furniture from Des Moines, Iowa, but it's very vibrantly painted and has like worded messages.
wow.
And so people love it and they associate it with us. But at the same time, you know, styles change and taste changes. And so that's just not going to be the focus of the store anymore. So you get the people that are like, well, where's the, you know, we're like, we do have a smattering of it in the back, but we do have to kind of change and keep up with the time, you know, what's new and relevant.
Well, that's kind of somewhat challenging, I would guess, because people don't like change, and people that come in and they're looking for, you know, like say Voluspa, where's the Voluspa candle? It's like, well, we've retired that scent, but I need that scent. And it's like, you end up with this, do I bring it back and please the one person that's asked for it? Or do we try and talk them into a new scent? And I know that's always a challenge with customers. And I can imagine something as, you know, art is subjective. Somebody may love this. Somebody may walk in and go, I so don't get this. But it's art is subjective. So it's a whole other animal of merchandising and buying and whatnot. Where you said people come to you, do you do art? Is there art wholesale shows, or do you go to like Sawdust Festival in Newport Beach to find new things? Do you actively go out and look for new artists or art pieces?
So we used to those shows did exist. There was a good one in Philadelphia for a long time. It was like, I can't remember. Yeah. Handmade. I can't remember what it was called, but, so we did used to kind of source it out. It's, you know, I feel like handmade has kind of had a resurgence. Yeah. And so it's a little, you know, you can even find some of it in the Vegas gift shows in the temporaries. You can find, I am dying to go to the Sawdust Festival. I've never been. So I know I've been wanting to go for so many years. One of our most popular jewelry artists has a booth at the Sawdust Festival. We're just really fortunate in that we've been around for so long that we kind of get people traveling through and, you know, they just walk in the store and they're like, I make this, you know, and a lot of times it's not great. But every now and then you find that diamond in the rough. So, we do get a lot of people, I would say, that way. There's also, I have not been to the New York show in many years, but I've heard that they've kind of tagged on with Shop Objet. Yeah, there you go. Okay. And I feel like there's maybe some handmade items there. I feel like we're going to see more and more of it, maybe in more mainstream shows. I'm not sure. Maybe
I would have to guess so, especially on the US made part of it, because obviously we're going into a situation where we have tariffs. And I had said to somebody on an interview the other day, it's like, it's not, even if it's made here in the US, if any of the material components for that came from one of these other countries, it's still tariffed. It's not going to be tariffed as much, but it's very tricky. And I think you guys are going to be very lucky in this sense. And my guess, and I think it's also the hope of, by changing the shopping patterns of the consumers off of China goods, which is going to be in our industry incredibly difficult. But I think it's going to force US to have some products made here that will avoid that. But we don't have a lot of those places anymore. We don't have the places that produce the ceramics anymore. We don't have a lot of the production companies that create fabrics from cotton that's grown in the US. I mean, it's a very different situation. But by going through artists that create things with their hands in the US, you guys are going to be one of the few people that are, I mean, you'll be affected slightly, but compared to a lot of the stores. So my hope is and guess is that a lot of people shopping for retail will kind of change over into that handmade thing, which I think will force the handmade as a industry to grow because it's needed.
Totally. And I would say that, a lot of our items, like when you go into our store, it's a lot. It's in your face. Especially when you have all different kinds of art, it's a lot of color. At one point, our store even had a lot of color, like on the walls. I came in and I was like, these niches, like the way that we have kind of wood surrounding things that kind of outline sections that were like teal. I was like, that has to go. Like, you already are looking at so much. And my point with that is that the handmade is what makes us so special. And I think that instead of fighting it, I've really leaned into it because, like, obviously when I go into anthropology, like, that is my holy grail. I'm like, this is where I see which one's where things. Our store couldn't look more different than anthropology, really, like as far as the spectrum goes. So I try to take what I can. But yeah, I think, obviously that it can come with challenges in terms of merchandising, like we talked about, and it can be a lot and in your face and all those things. But at the same time, it is so special. And that's what makes us who we are. So, there's things that we have that you can't find anywhere else.
Did you, when you were younger, when you first started with your mom, were you always like, I wish we sold something else. I wish it was something different. Like you mentioned anthropology. It's like, why can't we sell stuff like this? And it's like, at what point did you wrap your arms around, this is who we are and this is why people shop here?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, I think I fought it for a really long time. Even like when I was first doing the Instagram and stuff, I was like, there were certain things that mom would be like, we need to feature this. This is someone that's going to be featured in our event or whatever. And I was like, no, that looks like, because Instagram is so aesthetic. And but I could see that when I started managing, like I saw like what we have is so special and you always are trying to be different. You tend to see a lot of the same things, especially with us having so many small retailers. There's only so many gifting lines that you buy from. So yeah, I think now I really love how different we are. And it doesn't look like anthropology. There's stores downtown that are gorgeous, that are merchandised. Like you go in and it's very new and very modern and very clean and super aesthetic. And I wouldn't necessarily say that our store is the most aesthetic downtown.
I think it is to some people.
Well, yeah, 100% sure. But it's just very artistic. Yeah. Like, and I think I love that people come in there and they always say, like, I hear at least 5 times a day, this is my favorite store, or I usually hear, this is my mom's favorite store. I buy her something in here for every holiday or every birthday. And you really can find something in our store for everyone. That's a huge business model that we have. Mm-hmm. Like if you have a birthday for pretty much any, 13 to 100-year-old person in your life, there's something at hands for you. And we do still like offer the complimentary gift wrap, with our hands bag and tissue paper. And we've had the same yarn that we've had hand dyed for us on the East Coast for 30 years. It's like our Tiffany blue.
Yeah.
That's like our thing. It's this like rainbow yarn. But yeah, I think that I think for a long time I super fought it. I was like, this is not what I would say is trendy or in. And even to the point where when I was really a lot younger, I was embarrassed. Like when people would come in to say hi to me, I was like, I know this is like not trendy. I love it now. I absolutely love it now. So
yeah, I had to ask because I can imagine, because again, art is subjective. So it's like, our house is super funky. Like I collect like random things plus like natural things. Like we just went to Cannon Beach and I brought home driftwood and oyster shells and I do those in a coffee table. But, it's a lot. And I know people walk in that have really minimal houses and they're like, you got a lot of stuff in yours. So I can imagine in a store like that. But that's the beautiful thing about, I think, stores that are art driven. It's because to me, my favorite, like I don't like classical art, like, Monet's, and my heart is with installation art and some of the funkier things. And that's always been what I love. And I think that's kind of what it sounds like your store is more like installation art versus like fine art. And that's why I think you would love Sawdust Festival, because it is all over the board. I mean, it's everything from tin to wood to ceramic to jewelry. And there's a lot of it. And it's like, and then get in the mix of everything else that's going on. But it's, you are kind of like a mini Sawdust Festival, it sounds like, with the artists that you have. And
yeah, I that's what I've been told. That's why I'm dying to go to Sawdust. I don't know why I haven't made it, but we're gonna go. We're gonna go this summer.
Yeah, we'll make it a goal to go this summer.
Go, you have to do that, and then you need to stop at Rogers Gardens because they're also in Laguna, and it's like hands down the most inspirational place you will ever be. That's like garden and gifts. So, you can make a weekend of it, have lunch at Rogers Gardens Farmhouse Restaurant, do that.
I know. I've heard of Rogers Gardens. I have not been there either. So that'll be fun.
It is one of those places that I will say, I love retail, but it's, when we were at Anthro, we had to take once a month, we had to take an inspiration day. It's part of your job, and which was great. And it forced you to get out of your store. And you can either go to other people's stores, or you can go to the museum, or you can go wherever, go through magazines for the afternoon. You had to come back and do a presentation on what you went and did and what you found inspirational and how you're going to, apply it to your store. But we always went to Rogers Gardens because it was always, the buyers are phenomenal with what they do. The merchandising is phenomenal. The display, because they do like Disneyland's like scale display for Halloween. So it's so over the top. I mean, I wish it would be ready for during the same time the Sawdust Festival is, but it's just an incredibly well done retail establishment. And because they now have the restaurant aspect and it's a true nursery, but the gift part of it, you can do a whole weekend of that. And then, hit the other, if you want to go to a mall, like there are some pretty spectacular shopping experiences there. You kind of touched on the shows. Tell me a little bit about, because I know we've got an hour and 45 minutes we're in. Give everyone a little rundown on how you guys approached the gift show. You just came out of it. I believe you did Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So I'll let Mom kick it away. She used to exclusively do New York.
Yeah, we used to just do New York exclusive, because Vegas wasn't there. Yeah. I mean, when I was first doing this, Vegas wasn't there. So it was really New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. And so, of course,
that show.
I know. I know. So we would because of our location being right in between LA and San Francisco, we would do those shows for sure. And then we would do New York once, sometimes twice a year. And so as Vegas started to come and become a thing, really because of our style of store, we really I already have my reps that I absolutely adore. I just want to do a plug for reps because
we love
that. Please do.
Yeah, no, we love our reps, and the reps are so important. And they're important for various reasons, but they have always kind of been, we have these artists that come in, and then we have reps, and we're kind of in a forgotten territory, to be honest. We're either, the south end of the northern reps, or we're the north end of the southern reps. And the ones that have really, all of the main rep groups, actually, we have just really great relationships with our reps. So they are key to us, because you don't necessarily have to go to a show when you have a great rep. They're looking out for you. They're protecting your inventory. And anyway, that's just my plug for reps. I think they're really important.
I think that's really, and I'm going to interrupt you really quick, because there is obviously a very big thing going on right now called Reps Are People Too, because fair has become it's fair. I'm not going to take it away from fair. It is important, but it does not serve the same purpose that your reps do. And your reps have your back, and your reps, will come and show you that a lot of their reps will come and help you and merchandise. And, there's something to be said about, yes, purchasing from fair, but your reps have your back. And I love hearing that you are so pro rep, because it's a very big conversation right now. And I think that the poor reps right now, this is their livelihood. And when people go down the other path of ordering almost everything and they cut the reps out altogether, that is their livelihood. And I don't think people understand how valuable reps are, and what they bring to the table for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I am so pro rep. But we do the Las Vegas show primarily once a year. And that's when we do Vegas in January, primarily for holiday. We do a lot of holiday decor at the holiday time.
Our store changes into Christmas, essentially.
Wow.
Christmas art, obviously.
Yeah.
We have all of our artists, but we do our whole entire front window installation. It's the only 2 months, November, December, that it's not an artist in the front window. We do a side window. We have 2 full-blown Christmas sections. That picnic table we were talking about in the center becomes Christmas. We do Cody Foster on a Christmas tree. Typically, we've been Old World before. So yeah, I would say the majority of those sections that we were talking about are seasonal, or that we cross merchandise to make seasonal, really change to Christmas. We go heavy.
Yeah, we go heavy into Christmas. And so that is primarily what that January show is for. And that's really where we strike. We realize it's hard to get artists to make anything for the holidays. So we obviously, when you're ordering from Cody Foster and 180 Degrees, it's not being made in the United States. So that's really where we stop that rule and we do holiday big. We love the holidays. People love to come in our store at the holidays. And I think what's really cool too, is there's some other stores that have also kind of not necessarily followed suit, but are also doing it. And so I think it's kind of becoming a cool thing downtown, because there's so many stores that put such an emphasis on the holiday season.
I love that. You talk to people and it's either Christmas does really well for them or Christmas does not. I was one of the people who Christmas did not. I just stopped writing overt, when I say overt Christmas, like Santa, snowman, I stopped writing it because it was not selling. And it was partly because of the home good factor and the Hobby Lobby factor. But the stores that can do it and do it well and sell through, it's phenomenal.
We love it. I hope it stays, because it's so fun for us. It's obviously, as far as creativity comes in, that's when I really do feel I'm okay, let's go full anthropology in here.
What was your holiday windows? And then I want to keep hearing about your Vegas trip.
Yeah. It was this last year, our front window was an all white, birch trees. We put boucle on we want to have this big step in the front window where we put things, obviously. That was covered in boucle. And then it was really glam, jewel tone birds, in the trees and stuff. So ornaments. It was heavy creative co-op this last year.
And there's a reason at Creative Co-op. I tell my rep this, the best thing ever that Creative Co-op does is they put out that huge catalog, that huge holiday catalog for the following year. You get that in the middle of your holiday business. And I will sit there and we will go through it probably no less than 5 times. We know it, and Creative Co-op helps us for the following year. So even though you're in the middle of, Christmas 2024, we're thinking about Christmas year round, but we're definitely thinking about what are we going to do next year? Like, how are we going to make it look even better? What are we going to do? And Creative Co-op, I will give them props because they are the only ones that come out with a physical catalog that we can sit and go through and go, oh, this would be a great section for next year. This would be a great section. So we have an idea going into the January show of what we're looking at. Now we want to see it in person and we will pull from other vendors to complete it. But I got to give them props.
Yeah. Like we went in with full concepts.
Yeah.
We go in with a concept. And
I buy the same way. I don't know how long, and I don't know how they continue to put out that catalog because the cost of that, let alone mailing that. But I have to have a hard catalog. I can't flip in and out of PDF file because I want to see it all. So I love hearing that you guys do it the same way. It's very old school.
Yes.
Oh,
and
it is.
you should have seen us at the show. Like we had pages torn out for our reps. Like when we couldn't find it in the showroom, she was scanning off the catalog. Like we go in with our sections pretty much, obviously things can change, but like pretty much set. We're like, we knew what our front window was going to be, what our side window was going to be, what section A was going to be, what section B was going to be, what was going to go on picnic. Like we just,
So it is heavy Creative Co-op for that reason, mainly for that reason that they are so,
they give us our
inspiration, and you kind of see what the inspiration is. Once you see it in the Creative Co-op catalog, you're going to see that in all the showrooms. You're going to see what it was heavy like beige and creams and stuff and browns this year.
We're always behind like a year ahead.
We're always a year ahead.
So it's like now this year we're seeing we saw a lot of jewel tones, a lot of things that would have worked really well in our front window last year. What was the other thing? Red and white was one of our sections last year. And funny enough, like it was really hard for us to find stuff for that section.
Yeah.
This year, there's a ton of red and white this year for our section. I guess we won't give it away what we're doing, but in our front window, we could not find anywhere plaid. We're like, none of the vendors had plaid. We were like, how does Christmas not have any plaid? It was so fun.
Yeah, there's I know 180 had a little bit, but it wasn't technically a plaid, like a holiday plaid. It was their own red, green, and I think a third color platters and whatnot. But it is hard when you're ahead of the curve, and because I always go by fashion and what fashion's showing, and fashion's like literally 2 years ahead, and you start seeing it trickle down. But I love that you guys go through the catalog like that and like study it. Like, do you do that with any of the other lines, or is it because I know 180 puts a catalog out and like Raz and some of the other companies?
Do they do it? They must do it. I think I saw Raz, but it was PDF. I don't think I got a hard Raz catalog. So no, typically it's just, we don't do a lot of 180. That's mostly not that we won't ever, but for whatever reason, we love that Creative Co-op catalog, and that's kind of just what we go with.
But we it's always been different, it's always been different. And 180 just kind of recently, I believe, became part of the Vegas show. It was only I did see it I did do Atlanta a couple years ago, just because I felt like I was missing something. I'm like, I've been doing Vegas. I had heard, I don't know if this is true, but other people that I had talked to had said New York just wasn't what it used to be in previous years. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try Atlanta. And so I did that. And I just felt like for the travel and the expense, and I just felt like I wasn't missing anything. I had to go and do it once, but I feel like Vegas provides.
We love it.
It's expensive. I mean, the advantage of Atlanta is they have one whole, I mean, I don't know how many floors it is now, but it's like 6 floors of just holiday, So it's that a lot of people that write heavy holiday do Atlanta because, that's really probably the most that there is out of all of the buildings. But Vegas, 180 got there, I want to say 2 years ago, two and a half years ago or something like that. But so when you guys go out to do these, and I mean to ask this question to everybody and I always forget, but do you guys go by your reports. So when you guys are heading out to the show, do you have an open to buy person, or do you have reports? Are you looking at reports of what your sell through is and this did well? And is that how you're doing, or you're nodding?
100%. Yeah. We'll physically take reports with us. We've definitely made notes. We've run reports over what the best selling items were for that holiday season. And in general too, our normal lines, because we do meet with the reps also. It's not just holiday.
We don't just bring in holiday. We bring in, like, obviously that line of patty wax we were talking about, we just bought in January. So we do every day.
Yeah, like new. We're looking for new, and we're reordering things that that we need to reorder from just a normal line standpoint, but also heavy holiday. And we make notes and we have reports in hand. Yeah, absolutely.
Love that, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to that when I had our first open to buy person on, people were like, what's open to buy? I'm like, oh my gosh. Or there's still people that don't use a POS system that has reporting. Sure. And like, I really don't know how people, I know, when you go by and you can see something sold, but it's like, I don't think, a couple of my clients, I'm like, so let's look at your number one seller. And she's like, oh, I know it's this. I'm like, let's look at the report. And I think it shocked her that cards were the number one selling item that had not only done the most dollars, but the most volume in numbers. And I think that is helpful. Like, you using your reporting to buy is, the numbers don't lie. And that's always what, when you utilize your reports like that it only lends itself to a more successful season.
Yeah. And I think it's surprising too. Looking at a report can be surprising. You might think in your head, and you might be right with some of the things, but I mean, reports I'm always shocked. Always.
Yeah. We're always shocked. We have the conversation like at the end of the holiday season, like what the number one seller was. And we're like, what? Sometimes you know that the tree charcuterie board sold out in 2 days or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we're always surprised. And I will say too, not only reports, but concept. Like, Mom and I tried really hard this time, because of course you find something and you like fall in love with like the random item, and unless it fits in your concept, it doesn't sell. So like, there's so many things we have to say no to.
You just nailed something on the head that I think I struggle with as a merchandiser, is that, everyone knows you go to the show and there's something there you love that, if you don't have strong concepts or you don't know what you're doing, I always say it kind of reveals itself when I do the show. It's like you start seeing the same thing and it's like, okay. And that's when I start piecing things together, because you've seen a common trend or a color that you love or whatnot. But I think a lot of times when you go to the show and you don't have some kind of a concept or an idea of what you're doing, and you see these random items and they have no place because you're not really thinking about where they're going to go. And then they get to your store and it's like, I have more times where I've walked around with something like, where is this going to go? And I literally walk around a store 4 or 5 times to try and find a place for it. And it's like, when you buy with concepting in mind or a color story or whatnot, it definitely kind of eliminates those. I love this so much, because all I have to do is turn around to a client now and say, where's it going? And then it's like, I don't know. So then we're walking away.
We say that to each other throughout the show constantly. Mom will come up and be like, look at this. And I'm like, where's it going? And she's like, I don't know. And we'll be like, okay. And or vice versa. Yeah. And then, but there is like, you have to have a little fun. Like, I would say like maybe 1 or 2 things, like, you have to have a little leeway, because like it has to be exciting to you too. So like, of course, we probably came back with 2 things that we were like, we'll find a spot for it. Like,
yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Now, 2 things is easy. It's when it's like 40 things.
Yeah. And that's why I can't imagine going to like predominantly the January show without concepts already. I can't imagine. I would be, and that's why I've always been like, I have to have a concept, but I'm looking for concepts all year. Yeah. I might see something in a store, or I might see something in a magazine, or I might see something. I'm constantly, like I said, thinking of Christmas all year long. Yeah. And so I'm always trying to come up with concepts. I'm really good about creating concepts, but I can't make them happen. I can't execute them.
Cute.
So
Do you do vision boards, or how, when you start getting these ideas, do you start pinning things up on a board? Like, how are you doing your concepting? I always find this fascinating.
Not phone.
Yeah, we'll find an idea for something, but like this year I relied heavily because this was only my second. Was this my second or my first Christmas show? Second Vegas show. I really used Pinterest this year. So like I've heard you say on the podcast so many times, like, what does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? All that stuff. So like we would get a concept and I'd be like, okay, like let's go see if we can really pin this vibe down on Pinterest. Like how well can we get it down? And then, so we used Pinterest this year. I had a board for every section. We really tried to be like I just went through, like smell, sight, all the senses. Like, does it fit? Yeah.
For people that are listening that didn't hear that what she's talking about, Anthropology has a sight, sound, and scent. It also is from public to private. So as you walk in, you're walking into the garden. As you get further back, it's, tabletop, your living, and it ends in intimates, bedding, and the fitting room, the most private place. And the sight, sound, and scent thing was using that for concepting. If you're for the stores that are cross merchandising, there was a really well-known, I still talk about, it's like still my favorite concept, was the bakery concept for the kitchen section. And they did all these amazing, that's when they started doing the colored latte bowls, and they were doing all these cake plates. And there's always a scent that goes back to all these concepts. This is before everything was a Capri Blue candle, but I think it was Patty Wax did one that was, I think it was called birthday cake or something, or patisserie. Well, the concept was called patisserie, and the candle was, I think, birthday cake. So when you burned it, when you walked in, it was like they had the French music playing, and there was the smell of pastry and sweet and buttery, and then all the dishes. And it's like that combination of senses, I feel like, makes such an incredible way to shop for people. And I think now, as the future of retail is changing and morphing, that experiential vibe is what I feel like the most successful stores are doing and having success with, as far as across the board sell through. So I'm going to take this candle, and I want these latte bowls, and what music is playing. But it's like that. I love that you do that, because it really does kind of hone in your shopping and hone in the shopping experience and hone in your displays.
Totally. Especially in a store like ours, that there's like so much going on. Like we got it. People will walk through our store, like even without holiday, and be like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this before. Like, it takes it. You got to really like make spoon feed.
That's another one of my favorite words, spoon feed. So tell me a little bit about, because now we're heading into the 1 hour mark. Tell me how both of you stay inspired, and what are your go-to things for inspiration?
I would say I'm a Pinterest girl. I know it's been around. It's probably not cool to say that. I don't know. I'm probably really dating myself. I also Instagram. I like to find store somehow, just might pop up on our feed, a certain store. There's a store that we're obsessed with that is in
Kansas City. Pink Antlers
in Kansas City. And we only know them from their Instagram and their holiday Instagram in particular. And so that's a store that we've just we're constantly looking at that. We even had a section in our holiday section this last year. We called it the Pink Antler section.
Yeah.
Can't
wait to look this up.
Well, so I do find inspiration from other stores, and I really try to make sure that they're not stores that are located near me.
Yeah.
I'm really, which is why I think reps play an important role. I don't want stuff, even if I love it. I don't want stuff in my store that you're going to find 3 doors down. Yeah. I'm constantly trying to find inspiration from other stores, usually on Instagram or Pinterest, but mostly Instagram, that are not near us. There's another store that we're kind of fascinated with in San Diego area called Pigment.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with that store. There's another store, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's on the East Coast. It's called Drew's. DROZ. It's like a modern day general store, and and Occasionette. Both of them are so well merchandised, and like Drew's does this amazing thing with it's color and product and a theme. So one was like tomato red, so it was pasta sauce, pasta books, red tomato candles, and then other red elements that maybe had nothing to do with the pasta, but as a collective, it was so well done and so many lines that I've never seen. So I understand going and looking at, I mean, that's why I said Anthro, it was like, you could go shop other stores if you wanted, because there's nothing wrong with shopping other stores. I mean, if anything, it's inspiring and you're not copying them. You're going to look at it to get inspired. And that's the biggest compliment I think retailers can ask for, is that I'm shopping your store because I find it so inspiring.
Totally. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. Like Instagram, TikTok, especially for me in making the content, like we'll put mom on the stories where she's trying to get on there on my days off. I had Monday, Tuesdays off. And so she's there. There's always one of us in the store. And so she's trying to do it on her days off too. But yeah, I think because I do like the hard posting, so like the posting to the grid, the reels, all that kind of stuff, like I get a lot of content inspiration from other stores, not near us, but there's even like clothing stores that I follow that I love to see, like follow me around, like as a small business owner for the day. So, you can make content out of anything. And I think it's so nice to like just look at what other people are doing to get inspired in that way too.
Well, good thing you're young, because that's the thing with people our age, Sarah. Like, I'm 59. Like, my VA, my assistant, is in the Philippines. So we'll have meetings and we're going through things, and I'll show her things. And I'm like, I've got like 100 Post-it notes for her, like, can we do this? Can we do that? And then she'll send me suggestions. And then I sit with it and like overthinking it. And it's like, oh my God, and what's this video? And what do I need to do? And she, meanwhile, was like, are you going to do the video? Like, I sent you the suggestions. And I know. And for some reason, I'm so stuck in my head, I can't get past it. It's horrible.
And I think for me, I'm like, it's a store. Like, it's a store. It's retail.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, they don't want to hear about what's going on with me, or they don't really care if to them, but I'm learning that they do, and it's a connection. They can just connect. It's a way to connect, but it's still hard for me. Like, why do they want to know what I did last night?
But even the Vegas show, because we're in a hotel, the two of us, obviously all we have is time when we're not there. We spend obviously like 10 hours at the show. And then we go out for a nice dinner, and sometimes we do a little gambling, and we really treat ourselves and our customers. And we, did stories the whole time this year, like the whole time we were on social media with our reps at dinner, getting ready for bed, talking that day. And people are still coming in. Like, even yesterday, I had someone come in and they're like, oh my gosh, your Vegas trip looked so fun. Like, they love it. Yeah. They feel like they're with you.
And they also are like, where is our, I need your restaurant recommendations for, I forget where you guys all went. And, it looks so fun. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's true. People really do. I mean, as odd as it sounds, people really do want to see what you're doing. And especially because, like, this is what's coming to this, especially when you're at the show, it's like, this is what's coming to the store. I'm so excited. That gets your customers excited. And when they're coming in and asking, and like, what about this? That means your social media is really connecting with people, which is phenomenal. And I think having I say this a lot, like, pandemic changed a lot of how people are doing business. And our generation, I think a lot of stores just got complacent, and it's like, we don't need to do social media. We're fine. This is Matilda, by the way.
She's so cute.
She's sits at the floor with me. And it's lunchtime, so she's like sitting, like pawing at me, like, lunchtime, like, no. But a lot of stores were like, I'm not doing social media. I don't have anyone to do it. They didn't even have websites up and running for the stores. And now fast forward, how many years we're out of COVID, there's still some owners, and all of them, I hate to say it, are our age group, that are just not comfortable going online. It's like, I think everyone, how I overthink, just doing the stupid videos I'm supposed to be doing for my assistant. Like, I think we all overthink it. And it's like, don't overthink it. Just do it. Just because all everyone cares about is seeing what you're doing. And like, that's really, truly what everyone wants to see.
Totally. It's like the hardest part is just showing up, like they just want to see you.
Yeah. So how do you get inspired, Sarah?
So she was the Pinterest and the
other
stores. Instagram and the other stores. And for me, I would honestly say I'm the same. I love anthropology. Like anthropology is my thing. We don't really have a lot of museums and things where we are. Otherwise, like I would go there because I'm with merchandising. It's so like it's an in-person experience. And so I love to see what they're doing. Even if it's just like a small, like I said, our store is nothing like them. We do have Valespa also, but that's pretty much the only thing that connects us. And even if it's as small as like there's fruit in the front window, like that was like what I did stories about the other day. Like I literally didn't know what was going to go in my side window. I was like, let me go to anthropology. They weren't open yet. I saw fruit, like strawberries are a thing, were in their front window. And I was like, fruit, that's a good idea. Walked back to our bookshelf. I had a lemon book. I was like, okay, we'll go with lemons, lemonade. Where do you do that? Outside, we have solar lanterns, like that way. So yeah, I think in person in stores is great, but I try not to go to other locally owned stores. You want to make it look different. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, again, like you're there to get inspired and put your own spin on it because everyone does everything differently. But Anthro is always the king of inspiration.
Oh yeah, definitely.
yes.
And then last question is, how do you both find balance? You have 2 days off, I'm assuming also. You, Bailey, do you, Sarah, have 2 days off?
I have usually 3, but one day is kind of more of an office day. But definitely, yeah, it's when still haven't passed the reins onto her yet, as far as like ownership. And I'm hoping she's learning that it being your own boss is amazing. But it's also, there's no getting away from it.
We don't have any days off.
There's really no days off. Because even when I'm not there, I'm still in my head. I'm still, thinking about, it's always in your head. So that it's tough. I've tried to be better about it. I've tried to be, get involved in a good, juicy television series or something to get my mind off of it, because it really is constant. It's constant.
Going into this year, she made a huge, like that was her goal, was to say yes to doing more things with friends and going places. And I hope she feels like she can. I'm like so ready for the reins. I'm like, go do all the things, go enjoy and all that kind of stuff. My dad ended up in the hospital last year. And I think that was a huge like lesson to just, live full out every day. And so I'm hoping she feels like she can step away more. For me, like I absolutely love working out, taking my dog on a walk. My husband and I love to go out and eat. That's a big thing for mom. We love restaurants. We love to go have that dining experience. And yeah, TV for sure. I'm a big reality TV girl.
Are you?
Yeah.
What? Okay. I had to ask what?
Oh my gosh, like all of it. Seriously, all of it. Real Housewives for sure. Summer House. What are some other ones? Southern Charm. I mean, name a Bravo show, I've probably seen it. It just like lulls my brain. My husband's like, I don't know how this relaxes you. These women are screaming at each other. I'm like, I don't know. I can't think about anything else.
I'm the same way. I can't. My best friend loves reality, like the show, My 500-Pound, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like, how? It's like watching a train wreck. But, after, I do remember, and my mom is 82, mind you, but like I remember growing up and my mom's way of relaxing, and it's still, because she just left here, it still is her way of relaxing, is watching cartoons. And it was like, I remember, because she had a banking job or something with Wells Fargo, and she would come home on Fridays and Saturdays, just want to zone. And that was it. I just want to zone out. I don't want to. And it that seems to be her safe place. When my stepdad was diagnosed with leukemia, I'd call her to see how she is, and he's in the hospital, and she's like, I'm watching Disney. I'm like, how are you? But that's, that is the way that she, calms down. She was out here with us for a week, and it's like, swear to God, I had God love my husband that had patience enough to show her how to work a smart TV, and then show her how to find her cartoons.
I love it. No, we all have our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom loves a TV show too. I try to be good about like reading a book every now and then. And I do like glass of wine, and we've had glasses of wine while we're here.
Love it.
A glass of wine and a book on my Kindle, just any way you can. But yeah, you never really turn off. Like, for instance, this is my day off, we're always doing something that's work related typically.
But I love it.
Yeah.
I can't, yes, of course it's important to take breaks. It's important to get away. I really feel like I can do that with her on board. But I love what I do. There's not a day I open that door to go. Now at home, when I'm getting ready for work, it's like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go in today. But the second I open that door, like that is gone. I still love it. I love going in there every day. So it kind of doesn't always feel like work.
Yeah.
I think that that's the beauty of retail, and for people who really eat, sleep, and drink. I mean, I eat, sleep, and drink retail, even though I'm not in it every day, but it is like my passion. Like, I love it. And it's like same thing as being in the middle of a setup for a month solid where you're like, I just want a day off. But you get there and it's like you're so caught up in the joy of what you're doing and you love it so much. So you're almost on like an adrenaline run.
Totally. Because you're creating, like we're creating an experience for people. There's people that come in and like we're the happiest part of their day. Like, yeah, we love it.
Yeah. It's the people. We love our customers. And so many of them have been there for so long and have supported us for so long. And it's also awesome too, because we've supported them. They come in when their spouse has passed away or their mother has just passed away or we get to be a part of their lives, which is absolutely my favorite part.
You built community.
Yeah, totally.
I have to correct myself because I'm sitting here talking, I'm thinking about your reps. I think I was wrong when I said Christy is your rep. Am I?
No,
yes, you are. Okay. Because Christy is our number one fan, and it makes amazing introductions for me, which has been phenomenal. And as I said that, I'm like in the back of my head as you were talking about some of your reps, I'm all, I hope that was Christy.
Yeah, it was Christy.
It recommended your podcast to me because really I wasn't merchandising or anything. I haven't been doing it for that long. This is like the second year, and it's so funny. I'm trying to get rid of those plastic acrylic risers.
Thank you.
Be there. Mom keeps saying like, what else are we going to use? I don't use them all the time. And she's like, I feel like it kind of works in fine art. And like, sometimes it does. There's certain like, every once in a while, it's not too bad, but yeah, you've been a huge inspiration to me too, as far as the inspiration thing goes. Cause I really didn't know. I took on the job and I think Mom even was like, I don't know if she can do this, but
yeah, I didn't. The gal who previously did it, I mean, she went to FITM for merchandising. So I was losing a really key component because that is not my forte. So she's done excellent.
Well, I will say this, and I say it a lot with my interns, it's the sink or swim lesson plan. And Bailey's kind of doing that on her own, of like being thrown into something that you've never done before. Those tend to be, to me, the strongest merchandisers, the strongest managers, because you are having to learn it hands-on. And I no nothing taken away from FITM, because that's Crystal, who was my intern and my assistant forever. And I still wish she was here in California. She came out of FITM, but there's something that the books and the lesson plans don't teach you that hands-on gives you, of like, okay, this didn't work. Oh my God. So you don't have a book to reference to, and you have to figure it out. And that's the beauty of the sink or swim method of learning. And that sounds like a lot of what you're doing, which is great, because it's the best education, is the hands-on education, I think.
Oh,
totally.
Yeah.
And then I have because she doesn't super do the merchandising things, like podcasts like yours, and like with all the experience you have, like I've gone and I've found my gurus, you know what I mean? Even if I might not have them every day, she's inspiration in so many ways, but in terms of the merchandising piece, because she said she's so good at the concepts, but I really didn't know what I was doing. So I absolutely had to figure it out on the spot and then kind of research in ways that I could improve.
Oh my God. I love so much this conversation. And I so love to now meet you guys and hear what you guys do. And I mean, thank you for both listening to the podcast. But I have one last question is your mom and daughters have historically challenging relationships. I know with my own mom, I still at 59 have a challenging relationship. You guys are working together in, say you have a bad day or one of your traits that gets under your skin that your mom does or your daughter does, like how do you put that aside, or how do you go about?
It is so hard because I think it's like one of those things that we don't even think about, like, because it is so hard to separate, right? Like you're at work. I think for me, because I still view her, she was my boss for so long before I took on the management role, that I really respect her. And I think we respect each other, and we really are such good friends. You know, we weren't growing up because she was my mom. Like she didn't really cross that boundary. But as I've gotten older, like she is one of my best friends. But yeah, of course we get under each other's skin. I'm sure I do things that bother her. And I think that in the moment, I try to just be like, this is work. Like you wouldn't have even had this conversation if we weren't at work together.
Yeah. So, same thing. I mean, I don't think we've ever had an instance where we're like, okay, we need to talk about this.
No, we've never had like a knockdown.
Never. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things where it's just going to be like a thing that just kind of irks you. So I just kind of let it go. We just let it go, and I go to a different, I go in the back and start doing something, just kind of separate
angrily.
Yeah. So it hasn't really super been an issue.
No, because we're also so open with each other. Like I feel like if one of us is having a bad day, the other one is good. It's kind of like, it's like marriage, like one of us will try to pick up the slack of the other one, or we kind of always know what's going on with each other in general anyway.
And we're also only in the store together 2 days a week.
Yes.
So 2 days a week we're together. And so that helps, because a lot of our conversation on that first day is catching the other one up. Like, okay, this is what I've been doing. This way, we do talk on the phone a lot. But yeah, we're just not together all that often.
No. And I would say even on days that we are together, like we start our day with a phone call. Like it's very rare that a day goes by that we are on the phone about work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a different relationship than I have. Do you, so when holidays come up, and this will be the last thing I ask, but when holidays come up, because all I can think about is like, you're in the middle of holiday season, or you just wrapped holiday season, it's Christmas Day, and you're at home, and you're like, obviously everyone is just blasted by the time Christmas. Do you talk about the store? Do you try and avoid that? Because then are both of your husbands like, oh, are we talking about the store again?
I mean, I feel like they're like our biggest fans. Like they don't mind. I would say that I tend to talk about it more than mom does, especially on those holidays. She's like, I don't want to talk about work. And she'll have to like check me. She'll be like, we're not talking about work.
That's good.
Yeah. So we try not to.
Yeah, we try not to, but yet it's very common for us to talk about work, even on days off. And I think if one of us is just at the limit, we just like, we're not going to talk about work today. It's not. No.
Yeah. The hardest thing I would say, actually, even harder than that, is if we ever want to take a family vacation. Like that is a doozy. My wedding, it was so hard to figure out because she was helping me set up. I just got married in October, and that was a whole thing. Like we had to really rely on our staff.
Yeah. Family vacations. That's the toughest thing, is really, can we all go? And we don't do them all that often, because now we really, it's hard. That makes
God forbid someone calls out sick and you guys are like on the other side of the country or out of the country.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. This was such a joy to have this conversation with you both. And I honestly, I'm going to get down there at some point.
Yes, you have to come. Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.